Welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcasts. Today is June 5th, 2022. We're on season 3, episode number 29. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. We're now into June, and sports are wrapping and ramping up, I should say.
Yeah.
In all senses of the word. I mean, wrapping up NBA Finals. We're almost done. NHL are in the conference championships finals before the Stanley Cup. But then again, we have lots of sports kicking off as far as more baseball. We'll get into that as well. Should we start off with a trivia question?
Yes. Let's hit the trivia first. We're getting our topics for the day.
Trivia topic is FOX9 Town Ball Tour this week.
Yes.
This Wednesday is going to be in Watertown, the Watertown this coming Wednesday. So the trivia question is, this is their 4th episode this season of Town Ball Tour, FOX9. They do a good job, by the way. We'll plug them. But the question is, which team has made the most appearances on FOX9 Town Ball Tour this season alone? Appearances as far as who's played in the most games. We know there's only been 4 different hosts so far, but when you add in the opposing visiting teams, who's been on the most times? Who's been on the feature spotlights the most this year? Once again, this week, Watertown Red Devils will be the host.
Yes, here in the Watertown.
They'll be taking on
High Street.
They'll be taking on the Plato Blue Jays in a Crow River Valley matchup there Wednesday night. That should be nice. That should be good under the light. So the question is, who's made the most appearances? We'll get back to that here when we wrap up. Go ahead, Andy, with your sports.
The local boys, Watertown, just got done with a tough tournament this weekend too, so they're ready to come home for a little home cooking this week.
I saw that. Yes,
they didn't. Yeah, took it on the chin on a couple games, but they're tough. They're men. They'll make it. Okay, our talking points this week. One thing happened the other day, and it's gonna be hard to believe. I was watching this Mets game yesterday against the Dodgers. They're on the West Coast. And Mets are up by 4 or 5 runs, 9th inning. Dodgers come out, and they want to put a position player in the pitch, which I'm not a fan of. They want to put this position player in the pitch, and all of a sudden the ump said, nope, hold on. The umps stopped, take a look at the rule book. You cannot bring a position player in the pitch unless you're down by 6 or more runs. The Dodgers were not. They were down by 4 or 5.
So remind the listeners, the newer listeners out there, what a position player is exactly.
The non-pitcher, basically. A lot of times it's a shortstop or an outfielder or a second baseman. They bring in a non-pitcher to pitch, a position player it's called.
Gotcha, okay.
And the Dodgers want to bring that in. Now, here's a couple of things, me on a side note on that. You're down by 5. In that game, both the Mets and Dodgers have put up 4 runs in an inning. You're only down by 5. You're giving up. So what are you telling the rest of your team? Oh, we want to save our bullpen pitchers. We got to do this and that. So they went to bring a position guy. Ump stopped. They looked at the rules, said, no, you can't do it. Manager goes nuts. The bullpen manager went nuts because they said, no, wait, you stopped for a pitching change. Bring a guy in. Well, they didn't have a bullpen guy warmed up. All he got was those 8 warm-up pitches, and that was it. Now, the Mets didn't score any more runs. It went on fine. But the Dodgers were all upset. Like, okay, first of all, like we said before, between the manager, your bench coach, your pitching coach, you got enough other coaches on there. All of you should know the entire rule book combined. I'm not going to say a manager should know the entire rule book. There's little things changing all the time. I'll give you that. But when you want to make a pitching change, the pitching part of it like that, the bullpen coach or the pitching coach should have known that rule. Hey, we're not down by 6, Skip. We can't do that. Nope, they just sat there and did their thing. I don't think they were trying to sneak one by. I'm not saying the Dodgers were that way. No one's that smart or clever to try to sneak one by like that. I just think it was hey, we're down. It's 9th inning. We want to save our bullpen. Have Johnny left fielder come in and pitch. First of all, I'm not a fan of that because you're just basically telling your team to give up. I'm sick and tired of these guys. Latatuga from the Twins. He's now with the Marlins. He pitched the other day. He's lobbing in these 40, 50 mile. Really, it's like watching softball. And well, you got the 3 outs. Big deal. Because you don't want to waste a bullpen pitcher, so you got to put a position guy in. But yet that same team a week later is going to have a bullpen game where you have a reliever start the game and you go through 5 relievers in a game anyway. How about not do that and just get decent starters? And you won't have to burn all your bullpen guys in one game.
So I have two questions, Andy.
Yep. Fire away.
Number one, is this rule new, or do you know how long it's been around?
It had been around before, but the last 2 years, because of COVID, they never enforced it.
I see.
So I don't know if people forgot about it or thought it was taken off the books or just old habit. The last 2 years they were doing it and forgot. I don't know, but it was a rule that was on the books. And usually you didn't see it before COVID really, unless you were down by 10 runs or something like that in the 9th inning. Here he wanted to do it in a 5-run game, and I couldn't because they just started enforcing the rule this year.
Did my second question is, what if the game's in like the 14th inning and it's less than 2 or 3 runs and the bullpen's all been used up and you have no one left, you have to use a position player?
I didn't. They didn't get into that in the story, or from what I was looking into it for extra innings, how that all goes.
Okay.
There is one rule in there too that you can have on your team a guy who's a position player pitcher. He's got to get so many innings under his belt. So my saying on that is, on your bullpen days, just have your shortstop start the game and pitch the first inning. Then he gets those innings under his belt. He gets listed as a pitcher.
Interesting.
That would be my suggestion. The thing is, though, you do that, you lose your DH now. But if you want to do that, that's the only way I can think about getting around it. Unless you just, because with Ohtani, I don't know how they list that. How he could be an outfielder and a pitcher, but he's a starting pitcher. He's not coming in relief all the time.
Yeah, that's a new thing. But so how about the rosters nowadays? They've got 12, 13 pitchers on their roster, on the active roster. Yes. And to your point, if you don't have enough guys that can pitch and you're worried about your bullpen, you have all these extra guys in relief sitting around. Do you need to bring in a position player at all? Do you ever have the need to do that?
I say no. You got 13 pitchers. Even say 12. Say you got only 12. 5 are starters. That leaves you 7 more relief pitchers. Now, a lot of them are, maybe, he pitched an inning and a half yesterday or 2 innings yesterday. He's tired. Okay, you still got 4 guys now.
Yeah.
Or 5. You can't get through a game like that.
And some are situational, but in a case like that, you still have arms. You have good arms to use.
Yeah, and they got the rule now, too. You got to face at least 3 batters.
Okay.
Not like back in the days with the A's where a guy would come for 1 batter out, another batter out. At the end of the game, just drag it on. So even if you got to face at least 3 guys, you may not get them all out, but you're still not burning through pitchers that fast. And if they're getting too tired from the day before or other stuff, that's your conditioning and your fault. I'm sorry you had a tough game yesterday and you used a lot of bullpen. Like we've said before, the playoffs, they see it done all the time. If you're in that situation, how about the guy that pitched 2 days ago? He can't come in for an inning. He can't give you an inning. Yeah, you got $20 million invested in him, but he can't give you an inning.
Yeah, they've set up their bullpens for perfect case scenarios. And in a case like that where it's not perfect and you have to use someone, then that's when you use them. You've got to go outside the bounds. And for these exceptions, bring him in. Yes, he needs a certain number of days rest, and he hasn't gotten up to warm up and whatever. It's, you have these pitchers. That's what they are for. They're relief pitchers to come in.
Yep.
Yes, it's not a perfect scenario, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, and if you're worried about their poor precious ego because he's getting lit up like a Christmas tree, you're a professional. Deal with it. But again, I hate.
That's a good point.
But that's me. I don't like the fact that position players pitching anyway. Like we even talked with Town Ball Tuesday last year about if they should if they should have a rule they can throw in the white flag at the end. Just to say, if you're going to give up like that, can we just call it a game after the 8th inning? Hey, we're down by 10. You guys have it. Let's go home and not hurt anybody.
Yep.
But that's one part. And another rule that happened in today's game I did not know about. It was in extra innings. Guy went for a check swing, but as he did, he hit the catcher's glove. Well, was that catcher interference or not? It was a check swing he pulled back, and they reviewed the play, and sure enough, it was still catcher interference, even though it was a check swing.
Okay.
So 2 new rules. I mean, not new rules, but once a year rules I've seen in 2 days now. So it's
very unfair.
Yeah. And the sad thing was, it was the best hitter on the team, and he's the one who called for it. No, he's awarded first base, but he just took the bat out of his hand with the tying run at third. But it is what it is.
Interesting.
Speaking of Mets and Twins, today's games are different, but they both had nice big leads. And are they collapsing, Dan, or are they just in a bad stretch right now? The Twins have a 4.5 game lead. The Mets are down to an 8 game lead.
The Twins had the luxury of playing the Detroit Tigers,
and
the Royals rattling off wins against these guys, and they end up losing 2 or 3 straight. And then you go to Toronto, who was predicted, to win the AL East.
Right.
And then they did do well. They win 2 out of 3, but they had a huge lead 8-3 today, and win 8-6. That almost got out of hand.
They tried to lose that one.
So it's very interesting. But I think with the season so long that you're going to see these slumps, these ebbs and flows, and it's not fun to watch, but you got to just push through the grind. Now we're about 60 games through the season, right, Andy?
Yep.
And so we're almost to that 100-game countdown already, and the season's going fast. But I think each team's go through the ebbs and the flows. Now the Yankees are on, winning, I think, six more straight. Didn't they just rattle off?
But like I said last year, and I've said this year too, if you can win 10 in a row and then play 500, you're in.
And avoid losing 10 in a row at one point, too. Having a big losing streak, you need to avoid those. But, yeah, all you need to do –
Angels are 11 in a row losses right now.
Angels are? Oh, really?
11 in a row. So they play 500 the rest of the year. They're 10 games below. So they got worked that much harder now.
Yeah.
They have knocked themselves out of the wild card. They're a half game out of the last wild card spot now. And the Cardinals are 2 games into the last wild card spot. The 2 teams I called at the beginning would not make the playoffs, even though they won the Cactus and Citrus Leagues.
Yes.
But, the Twins, though, too. Okay, I got these notes here. This is as of like an hour before we came on. Twins had a 4.5 game lead, but they had 56 games played. Second place, Cleveland, has only 49 games played. That's 7 games. That's 3.5 in the standings right there if they win all of them. So Cleveland's got some doubleheaders to make up. The Sox are at 52 games, and they're considered. Some people like Fox, they're still saying the Sox are going to win the division. Now, granted, like I said, you look at our schedule, we've had the cushy end of it to start with. But, we're 7 games ahead, or games played ahead of Cleveland. So Cleveland makes up some of these on doubleheaders, or the doubleheader going to be hard and they're splitting or losing both, and it's going to be a deficit to them.
Yeah.
You never know how it's going to affect. It depends on who Cleveland's playing when they play those doubleheaders too.
Now the Twins are going to get a good stretch here now with some tougher teams. Yankees coming into town, and now we'll see the rubber meets the road of how good this team is. The Yankees have the most number of wins in the entire major leagues. The Twins have the 3rd highest number of wins in the American League right now. They're the 3rd best, not the best team, but the 3rd most wins in all the American League right now. This will be a good matchup coming up, but it's going to be interesting. I think that you look down and see the Red Sox toward the bottom, with the same record as the Baltimore Orioles for the most part.
And you look at the Twins right now; they go up to Toronto, take 2 out of 3, and they had to lose 4 pitchers. Without getting into the politics of it, they lost 4 pitchers because they haven't been vaccinated. They couldn't make the trip.
Yeah.
So these 4 guys, they're not going to be this next generation's, Walter Pipp, where it's like, oh, you didn't play because you get a shot, but this filling guy did good, and he never gets a chance back in. Does the filling guy stay in all the time now? Because hey, you had a good 3 days. Johnny, without a shot, you're going back to St. Paul for a while. This guy's hot. could that affect someone's job?
Gotcha.
That's what I hope not. But if it does, it's for a reason. Now, Wally Pipp, like I said before, history lesson. He's got to had a migraine and couldn't play one day, so Lou Gehrig filled in.
Rest
The
is
rest is
history.
history. Yeah. So, little headache, you suck it up and play. Yeah, but these guys without the shot, again, without getting into the politics of that, they didn't have it. They didn't make the trip. That's the rules. They knew coming into this. So now you don't go. I just hope your replacement, pitcher or batter, I don't know who it was, but I just hope these 3 games someone didn't show enough to say, let's keep him up here a couple more weeks. He's pretty hot. He's doing good.
Yeah.
And someone else is now trade bait or expendable or something like that, or now your 5th outfielder instead of your starter. But don't know. Let's just hope not. I hope no one does their
You're
job.
right. They had to do some jockeying around for that. But with those depleted lineup, to come out of Toronto winning 2 out of 3 is fantastic.
You thumped them in one game too, so.
Yep.
Gonna talk. Speaking of, well, we'll skip. We'll go to high school. We'll go a little out of order here. We'll go to high school playoffs coming up for baseball.
Oh yes.
Sections are going on right now. They've started. Baseball state tournament starts the week of June 14th. Girls softball starts June 9th.
Okay.
Keep an eye on our Instagram page and Facebook for scores and updates on that stuff. I'll do a couple specials on the Monday nights or Wednesday nights during those weeks, how it's going. I will keep the standings and brackets updated on our social media sites, but the sections are going on now, and we're sorry, folks, we tried it with football. You got 8 classes, 8 sections, 4 different classes. That's a show in its own. We're not going to cover all those. Minnesota State High School League has a good job on all those. When the brackets are filled in, we will have them posted for you to follow. No real. It's fun and exciting because it's still baseball. You never know. Unlike football, 99 out of 100, the 1 seed's going to beat the 8 seed. Baseball, it's about 70% of the time. So nothing given there. They're still fun to watch. Cheer on the boys and the girls in softball. Well, we're going to talk town ball right now. Locally here in the Watertown up at 420 High Street, Wednesday night. And Dan, the game starts at 7:30, but if you look at there, you got to show up at 5 o'clock, man. Dan, there's going to be a bounce house there for crying out loud.
Oh, yes.
Free ice cream. Autographs from team members. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
ice cream on a hot day and then a bounce house.
They start these things early, and boy, do the people come. And then, by the time the game starts, by the time the 3rd inning's over, roughly, there's just, the normal crowd there. But boy, these events really do bring in the families and kids and everybody.
Now, we like to make predictions on the show here. At least I like to pop off with them every now and then. Free ice cream social, a warm day, and a bounce house. I predict some kid's going to vomit in that bounce house.
What's the over-under on the vomiting?
1.5 kids, and I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
I think it'll just be 1 kid vomiting, but I'm not going to get into age or boy or girl. I'm just going to say 1 and leave it at that.
That's pretty fair. 1.5 is the over-under.
What's the over-under? I'm playing the under. Taking the under on that.
I'm going to go with the over, I think.
Oh, yeah? All right. We'll see how it goes. But then again,
lots of
autographs.
Yeah, lots of events.
And this is just the stuff Watertown's putting on. Channel 9's good. I know when we went to the Delano game last year, they got stuff they're giving away. If you could find Dan or I, we'll be happy to give you a picture and an autograph if you want. That's fine.
Yes.
Just not with your dog. It's got no more pet pictures anymore. People were bringing up iguanas and ferrets last year, and that just wasn't right. So
it just got out of hand.
Yeah, so no more pet pictures. Just people will take pictures, autographs for a nice, sizable donation to our beer fund that night.
Yes, so that'll be fun. It's the Watertown. They finished 2nd in the state last year. Went to the title game in Class C, and they've got a huge following there at Watertown for the local fans there. They love their baseball. 5
p.m. it starts for the fun. The game starts at 7:30. And there's a promotion for the first 50 people there. Ryan Handgardner, second baseman for them, and also Ryan Handgardner, State Farm. First 50 people there get a Red Devils ball cap. There it is.
First, so first 50 to stop by their tent gets the free cap.
Yep.
Limited
edition.
I like it.
Limited edition. State Farm cap. I have intern Abby on a mission to get me one that day. So 49 more caps to go.
Yes.
If you want, I will bring your own Sharpie though if you want me to autograph your cap.
Yes.
I will not be carrying one with me. I cannot be responsible if you do not have a Sharpie or pen for autographs. But it should be a fun time. It's always a good time there at the games. If it's 11-0 or 11-10, we always have fun up at the high street. It's a good time, good people up there, and it's like all the other town ball games. Anytime you go to, it's social hour. There's a lot of chatting going on. You're seeing your friends, your family, friends from church, whatever. A good time is had.
And a reminder is FOX9 their .com, their website. Throughout the day, they do post their interviews and things going on in the town. Yes. It's not just the 5 o'clock event or the 7 o'clock game, but you'll have a video up by 9:30 in the morning of some interviews in business, or someone on the city council, the mayor or something. And then 1 o'clock, there'll be something else, and maybe 3 o'clock, something else. So throughout the entire day, go to fox9.com to see what they're focusing on, because they have some very good segments.
And I do not have any inside information. I just know who's who in town. Another one prediction, I guarantee a prediction. There will be an interview with Mario from Mario's Italian restaurant in town.
Oh yes,
I'm predicting Mario's good food there. So I'm predicting they will have, or mention Mario's anyway, if not himself on there.
Usually they'll have a small town bar or the local barber, restaurant, and things like that. They will bring good coverage to that. So these are very successful shows.
Yep, and we got a good crowd, good people. A lot of fun is always had at the regular games. They have the little baseball toss in between innings where fans stand behind the fence. If you toss the tennis ball over, closest to home plate wins.
Now, the nice thing with Watertown, there's that park right there. I mean, the children's playground is right there. So that'll be a big draw, too, for the families.
And I don't know for sure. Last time I drove by, those of you who've been to up there to 420 High Street, there is some seating, but usually a lot of seats to bring your own folding chair. I don't know if they're bringing up benches from the high school for bleacher seating or if it's going to be your own lawn chair. I'm not exactly sure where they're putting these bounce houses and other things to take up stuff.
Well, maybe in that
limited, get there early.
The park area may be a good spot for those things. But you're right. Always bring a folding chair, lawn chair to these games because they do. The seating is limited.
And so is parking up there. So
yes,
get there early, enjoy the stuff. There's shelter under the canopy up there if you just want to sit and visit with your friends. That's fine. Watch all the festivities. It's free to sit and watch from 5 to 7:30. They're not going to charge you a ticket to be 10 feet from the field. So come on up and just for the festivities at 5. That's fun too. But that's my end on that. And I got a couple other notes.
I've got some football notes, Andy.
Yes. Maybe I'll just rip. You go ahead with it.
USFL, those following, there's a handful of followers out there, I believe, but the USFL just completed their 8th week. It's a 10-week regular season. So they're done with 8 weeks, 2 weeks to go, and then they shift up to Canton, Ohio to play the semifinals and the championships. That is fun. Now, for fantasy football, USFL Fantasy Football, I've mentioned before on the show, I'm in a league. Our regular season ended today.
And
so the final 2 weeks left are the fantasy football playoffs for the USFL. So there may be some listeners out there interested in that, but I'll report next week on how I do in the playoffs. I'm in.
You're in.
I've already clinched a spot in my league, so that's fun. But the semifinals will be next week and the championship the following week.
And I heard they're expanding next year too.
Are they? I did not hear.
Expanding.
Okay.
Dallas might be getting a team.
Okay.
So they're expanding.
So we'll be covering that as well because the XFL is supposed to go live as well. So we'll have 2 spring leagues, and with the expansion and everything else going on, we'll see how that all plays out. I don't know how it's all going to work, but we'll see. We'll keep you covered here on the show.
WNBA is expanding next year. Sounds like Philadelphia might be getting one of the teams there.
Okay.
So good for them. Congratulations if that happens. And another thing came up. Mentioned this a while ago. These college players can get paid now. The NIL, they can get money and endorsements. So these high school kids are getting 6 digits now as high school kids before they come in. Okay, it's kind of like if you're 14 and grandpa dies, you don't get that money till you're 18. I don't think they should give these big dollars to these college kids till after they're done.
So you're saying have the dollar amounts accumulate, for instance, but no payouts until they're complete or a certain age. Okay.
Yep.
That's fair enough.
Because how many kids now? You're gonna go where the big city is, where the endorsements are, where the deals are. Your little schools, and because of what we have for marketing around here, I'm going to call the Gophers a little school in this. We're not going to get a lot of kids come up here because who in Minnesota's going to pay big endorsements? Really, you think Target's going to give a guy $2 million to be their spokesman? No. Or $100,000? No. I don't see Hormel doing it. I don't see 3M doing it. Mayo Clinic no. We don't have the big companies here to do that. Granted, Nike signing these deals, these bigger name guys, they're signing to the kids who are on the good teams who are going to be on TV all the time.
Oh.
So unless the Gophers can score a couple of studs and get more TV games, national games, then maybe they can. But that's where I feel bad is it's really going to water it down. You thought it was bad. It was just, I want to go to this team because they're on TV a lot, and that's going to help my draft status. Now it's going to be, wait, that's a pretty big market. They're on TV a lot. I can make commercial money there. To a point, maybe you make more money doing commercials for 3 years in college and don't go pro early. Who knows? Maybe they stay longer.
Yeah, it's just another variable in the whole mix.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Like I said before, should they get copyright money for their name in a video game? Okay, I guess. I think if you wear number 7 for 4 years at quarterback, every number 7 jersey, you should get a percentage of that. Fine, I got no problem with that. I just, again, feel bad for the swimmer, for the golfer. Where's their endorsement money?
Yep.
No one's going to, unless they do the local commercial for Cub Foods. But again, who is that? Swimmer? We have a swim team? So, that's kind of feel bad for those kids, but hopefully it opens up more endorsements for them on other stuff later on.
Now, I thought of something. How did Northwestern do in the Division III college baseball?
I did not get the results of that yet. I had some
they
things went on this weekend.
Well, they made the tournament, and then I think they got beat out, but they were in the NCAA, right?
Yeah, I didn't see how they ended up or who they lost to, but
I think they got beat. But that is tremendous to get all the way up there
to the big show, the big dance.
The big show. Now, speaking of baseball, Andy, we've talked on the show before, over 35 federal league in the state of Minnesota. Minnesota was the first state of all 50 to have an over 35, league. We were the pioneers back then. Right now, our over 35 league is 4 weeks into their season. They're all a month in. But guess what started this weekend? The over 50 and the over 60 league kicked off. Yes, I did not stutter. There's an over 60 baseball men's league, hardball, full-size baseball fields. And we are the first state in the nation to have an over 60 league. And I believe we were the first state in the nation to have an over 50 league.
Still 90 feet between the bases and
60
feet, 6 inches.
There's some various smaller different rules, but the rest is the same. This is over 60. And there's a dozen teams, I believe, in the state of Minnesota playing over 60 baseball that kicked off. They had an experimental run last year with some teams trying it out to see how well the league would handle it. And now they're going official this year. They're going to have a state tournament.
Nice.
They'll have brackets, the whole deal at the end of the year. And like I said, the over 50 also kicked off here this weekend. We'll be providing some updates here on the show next week. They get in full gear. Same thing, but they start a little later with the 60s. They start a month later, and then they move out a month at the end of the season here in the state of Minnesota as well.
Yeah, they go longer than the rest. Yeah.
But there's in the over 50 league, people don't know this, but there's 35 teams in the state of Minnesota. It's a big league that play over 50 baseball, but it's fun. We'll be providing more updates on that as well as the season moves along because the inaugural weekend was just this weekend. So
how many guys on a team for an over 50 league?
They're still at 16 to 20 guys on the roster.
So 20 guys on a roster, 35 teams. That's 700 guys still playing ball over 50.
Oh, yes.
Competitive ball, not just a pickup game. Yeah.
It's amazing in the state of Minnesota, and a lot of states don't, do that. They'll have tournaments here and there, and they'll have smaller leagues, but not to the extent that the state of Minnesota has at all. 35 teams playing over 50 baseball. And most states, you tell folks that this exists, and they said, I didn't even know there was such a thing. And so, we are the pioneer in a lot of this in the state of Minnesota.
Some states might have 35 guys over 50 playing baseball, not 35 teams.
Yeah, there's it's a big market here. So it is fun. We'll be providing updates here in the coming weeks, updates, scores, maybe standings even, who knows?
Right. Yeah. So that's great. Just any baseball you can watch. High school playoffs all the way up to the over 60 league. Holy cow. If you like baseball, there's going to be a game to watch.
Yeah. It's fun.
What do we got for a trivia answer? Speaking of baseball?
Trivia answer. FOX9 Town Ball Tour. The question is, this is week 4. There's been 3 different teams to host. Watertown will be hosting this Wednesday. Which team has participated in the most games this year as part of this FOX9 circuit? Do you have an answer?
Well, being the local guy here, I know it's not Watertown. I know it's our first game. I'm gonna play the big city favoritism. It's gonna be someone like Chaska or something like that, I bet.
Well, the answer is Plato, the Plato Blue Jays. Now, do you know why this is? I'm sure a lot of the listeners don't, but the way the schedule fell, they played last week as the host. They were the hosts for FOX9. Now they're playing as the visiting team here in Watertown. But the very first game of the season when Cologne hosted, Cologne was supposed to play the St. Patrick Irish on FOX9. Something happened, a schedule mix-up. They couldn't make it, didn't have enough guys. I don't know what the story was. Plato says, we'll come in. We'll fill in. We'll be your opponent that night.
Nice.
So out of 4 weeks, the Plato Blue Jays are playing 3 of them. So that's the answer is 3. Plato Blue Jays, 3 in one season.
Plato favoritism on the network there. I see.
It's unbelievable. So that's the trivia answer for this week. Come on down to Watertown. You'll see Plato again. 3rd time this year. The Plato Blue Jays, a lot of exposure. Now they just added lights down there. So I think that's why they were featured last weekend.
Yeah, because of their lights.
And sometimes they'll do the FOX9 if they had something new or they're promoting something. Do you know if anything in Watertown for the Red Devils as far as new equipment or new addition to the field, anything?
I live in Watertown.
You do? Okay. That's why they're doing it. Yes.
The Sports and Songs podcast, part of it's based out of Watertown.
We'll have a table set up there next to FOX9 maybe.
Yeah. Us and Ian Leonard are going to be there just.
Oh, yes. All right. What we'll do, Andy, is bring some extra business cards to hand out for folks because all of our information is on there. Our Twitter account, the Facebook, YouTube, blog, and our anchor show, our radio show.
Bring your own Sharpie, though.
Bring Sharpies. All right. That's all I've got for this week. Anything else for the show?
No. Thursday for the music segment, we'll be doing an interview with Non Grata, a local band out of Iowa.
Non Grata.
You'll see tomorrow we'll have a promo for it with their links on there. We've pushed some of their stuff on our Facebook page already. You've seen it. Tomorrow we'll have some more promotional stuff for it coming up.
They dropped a single, right?
Yes. They've got a few videos out now. They just dropped another one. They'll be playing at Rockfest coming up here, 2nd week in July. On one of the opening nights. They just got done doing another festival in Iowa there. Hottest thing going, and they're going to be on our show.
So that'll be Thursday's show. We'll have them on as interviewing the group there. Perfect. All right. That's all I've got for this week, Andy. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good week, everyone.
See ya.